So it looks like everyone's here. So I'd like to welcome everybody to our regular session for our board. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item tonight is our oath of office for our newly elected board members. Can't talk.
Yeah, let's have everybody come down here and we'll take care of it.
Do we have to do it again?
Yes.
We have to do it again? Okay. This is new for me.
The last oath is expired.
It's expired?
Why would
Yes. Okay, so I'll just remind everybody if we can use our microphones so everybody can hear tonight. So we are down to our board elections. We need to appoint our chair, our vice chair, our treasurer, and our clerk for this year. So we'll go ahead and open up nominations for chair.
Madam Chairman, I nominate Jamie Bracken for chairperson.
I'll second that.
And I nominate Cassie Torres.
And I'll second that.
Is there any additional nominations for chair?
Madam Chairman, I move the nomination cease.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Caleb. Okay, nominations have ceased. We'll go ahead and do a paper ballot and put your vote for chair.
I was gonna ask you.
Hey, Russell? Hello? Are you there?
Let me just put him on the cell phone.
Hello.
All right, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm back again.
Okay, did you hear the two nominations for chair?
I did. I lost it just after that.
Could you text me your nomination and I'll share that with Ryan?
Or your vote, his vote.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair, Jamie Bracken is the chairman.
Okay.
Okay. Does that mean I have to move, or can I do it from here?
No,
You gotta move.
Okay. We'll see you later, I guess.
Great, I'm gonna take my paper.
Your voice.
We are on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Or vice chair, you're right. Okay. We are on to vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
Madam Chairman, I move that Dave Bennett be vice chair.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second.
The second by Jenny, or by, oh, by Krista, sorry. You have to be louder.
Give it time.
Do we have any other nominations?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would nominate Cassie.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? All right.
I would like to continue that discussion, and I would actually like to decline for vice chair.
We don't need to vote.
There you have it.
Okay. And then I guess we need to, we'll go on to treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer? The duties of a treasurer, KR?
To be here, that's the number one important, to be here.
Okay,
And then say your treasurer.
okay.
Theoretically sign all the checks.
In theory, sign the
But
checks
it's a
one time.
stamp.
It's a stamp that they use. And you have to sign on the bank account, yes, and on the checks. Do we have any nominations for treasurer?
Madam Chairman, I nominate Kay Fackrell for that position.
I second. Me, Cassie. Do we have any other nominations for treasurer? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I guess I should have done that for vice chair too, huh? By consent, how's that? And for clerk, last but not least is clerk. Do we have any nominations for the clerk? The clerk gets to sign all the documents in addition to the chair and also be on the bank account.
On the bank account?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I can.
Yeah, gotta have to hang around.
Sure.
I'll nominate Tammy.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Caleb seconds. Any other nominations for clerk? Going once, going twice. All right, all those in favor of Tammy as clerk?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Tammy, your clerk. Congratulations. And Sherry has asked that all of us stay afterwards and sign whatever it is we need to sign, so you will have some documents to fill out. All right, now I believe we are moving on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair, I'd make that motion to approve the agenda.
Second by Jenny. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is set. Now we go on to our consent agenda items, which has the minutes, bills, our liability insurance renewal, and the language day trip that we talked about last week.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, carries. Next, we have our presentations. Aaron Russell is going to talk to us about a Disney trip.
All right, I invited all of my students to come with,
And you got one?
and I got Josie and Josie. She counts.
All right,
I
Josie counts.
decided. So, but it's all good. Anyway, we just wanted to report a little bit about what our two big events this year, and the first being the our performing arts workshop that we got to attend in Disney, and they sent us home with this lovely plaque. For paying them a lot of money, I guess. I don't know, but it's awfully pretty, and I'm excited to hang it up. In any case, it was an interesting trip. I thought it was a wonderful experience for my kids. They really dove in and had a lot of fun with the presenters, and I sent them with these lovely booklets that they probably filled out halfway, I think, if they were good. I don't know if Josie did. Josie's good. She did. Yeah. Where even if they went on a ride or went to a show or whatever, they had to reflect on what they learned about staging or acting or anything in there, because pretty much everything in both parks is a show. And so it's kind of a fun thing. And so whether they went to go see the Frozen show or a parade or just ride on Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever, they had to write a little reflection on it. They really loved that. But I wanted them to see how much they could learn just by looking around and being there. So it was a wonderful experience. We learned a lot. We had a young man get sick and another that had to go to the hospital. And so it was an interesting trip for me personally, but it was for my students. They learned a ton and had a wonderful time. So we just wanted to say thank you for approving that and letting our kids go, because it was, in my opinion, for them, it was a pretty awesome experience. So I don't know, it was fun, and it's Disneyland. So what do you do? And then we just returned from our state drama festival, and over the last 3 years, the state drama committee has been shifting from less of a competition and more to a festival feel. And so as we've gone forward, there's definitely a competition part to it, but they have a lot of events, workshops, and shows that my students can attend who are newer, so that they're getting an experience and learning about this before they go to the competitive level for it. And it's just a lot of fun. So it was really a neat thing to be able to take our kids. Again, we had, bad weather and a few different other snafus that made things a little bit stressful. I guess that's the name of the game for me this year. I'm done traveling. Because, yeah, it was a lot. But but overall, it was just wonderful. And part of why I wanted to come, not just to kind of brag on the kids and show what they did, but honestly, just to say what a wonderful infrastructure we have here. I was just, the way that people were able to help us, transportation activities, it was wonderful. And they were just, it was all about keeping our kids safe and dealing with me and my scatterbrain, and they were just really wonderful through the whole thing. So I just wanted to say that publicly. I'll wipe my nose now and move on. But it was, the best thing about state drama is, for the first time in a lot of years, we were able to bring home a sweepstakes trophy for 4A. So we're just really grateful. It's not first place. That one's a lot bigger. So, but we did get third. And it's just been a delight working with these kids and seeing them grow and seeing the program grow and how much fun they have. Grace is a senior. She's my stage manager. Not because she's my niece, but because she's very talented in what she does. I want you to tell them a little bit about your makeup designs.
Just everything.
Yeah. You don't have to go into huge detail, but I'm really proud. A lot of my kids win makeup awards, and I don't do makeup, right? So I don't even know. And these guys, so they do it all on their own, and they're fantastic. So she's just one example. Go ahead.
Want me to speak in the microphone? Okay. All right. Yeah, I have a small voice too. I'm Leela Lester, and I'm the drama club president. And through the Disney trip and state drama, it gave me a lot of opportunities. One of the main things for state for me, at least this year, was it was a chance to meet with Wyoming schools and to get my voice out there and to get me and my talent out there. And so I was able to meet with a lot of the schools, and they had all of their people who deal with admissions and scholarships. And so that gave me an edge that I would have never gotten before, because I got to meet with them face on face and present everything that I've ever done before and say, here's me, this is what I can do. And so that was just really important to me, because that was the only chance that I would have been able to get such a huge variety of a way to get out my scholarships. So that was really helpful. It also challenged me a lot more, because for my senior year I wanted to go out with a bang for my state drama. So I challenged myself, and I did a lot more events than I did last year, and I really took it to the next level and pushed myself and kind of wanted to just see how far I could take things. And so that was just a really cool opportunity to see how much I could grow and grow my skills in the theater department. So
Tell them what your fantasy project was, because it was really cool.
okay. My fantasy makeup 4th year was the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. So I recreated the whole mask. Thank you. It was a lot of hard work. It was 20 plus hours of coloring and layering and everything to make a full mask to push myself. So
It was really cool. Yeah, no, she's all good. It was fun. I don't know how many teeth there were that she hand sculpted, but there were
40.
a lot. And so it was awesome. And someone even asked me, they said, when did the kid, was that really on a person when they saw the picture? And I said, yeah, it was. You can't even see the person. And if you're a fan of Stranger Things, she had to have an inanimate object. So she put a waffle, an Eggo waffle into it. So that was really fun. Anyway, if you don't know Stranger Things, none of that makes any sense to you, but I highly suggest it. It's a great show. Anyway, it's tons of fun. So we just had, and Grace is a wonderful example. Josie went, and she was part of our main stage show. She had a 2-person scene that she performed, and she was part of a small group scene. And both her 2-person scene and her small group scene were honored with honorable mention for all state. And so we were able to bring home the list that I sent you guys. We're not going to read through all of it, but we had just a huge amount of kids do very well. And just one thing that's interesting about state drama is that they do it on a rubric system. So it's, if you get this many points, you get all state, and if you get this many points, you get honorable mention. Pardon. So we've had years where only 2 kids get honorable mention and 1 kid gets all state, and then years like this where you just have a lot. And so it's not that there's only a certain number of all states, it's based by their score. So ostensibly every kid who did makeup in the whole state could be named to all state if they were held to that. When Grace went in with her with her makeup, she was given the full set of points, and the presenter said, "I wish I could have given you more." And then another young lady was offered a scholarship right there for her makeup. And just, it's kind of a really incredible experience for our kids. Next year it will be in Laramie. And we'll be back to kind of some of the bigger campus and all those different things. But I just wanted to let you know that we're doing good, that these kids are doing good things and working hard, and just doing a wonderful job, and I'm super proud of them. Because of the snow, we did have a few kids snowed out, so Dory's daughter was unable to perform her scene, but when they performed it for the community, it was just beautifully done, and just so proud of these kids. Anyway, we just want to thank you for your support, let you know what we're doing, and then just so you know, I know you want to put it on your calendars, so the dinner theater is at the end of January, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a murder mystery, and I don't know if I can tell what the musical is yet. Heather might be really mad at me if I do that.
It's awesome.
But if you want to know, I'll tell you later. So, no, I'll just tell him. Okay, the musical this year is going to be The Addams Family. It's going to be really fun. We're super excited, and we're already planning, so it's going to be wonderful. And if Heather's mad at me, you can. Anyway, thank you so much for everything, and I wish more of our kids were here to tell you what they did, but it's all good.
One
Thank you
Easter
very
egg
much.
too is Erin used one of her things that we learned in the Disneyland trip
I did.
in one of her workshops, and they
Right.
loved it. So
Yeah, I got to teach 3 workshops at State Drama too. That was really fun. That was probably my favorite part. So anyway, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, you guys. Job well done. Mr. Lester, I believe you are on.
Good evening, members of the board. We're just going to keep this pretty simple. We've gone through the schedule, and we've had 3 parent meetings, and I think everything's pretty well set. And we had to change. There's one thing we had messed up on the last version that you saw, was the lunches and how we had those scheduled. And we had it, anyway, if you look at the last version, what we realized is it has to be isolated to one period. And so the way we had it was impossible to schedule kids. And so glad we cut it when we did, because that would have been a mess. But as we got it, anyway, so we've taken it down to 2 lunches. That's the kind of the version the committee wants to go to. Keep it at 2. If we go to the 3rd lunch, it'll be like it used to be at Evanston High School, where the middle lunch goes to class, lunch, and then back to the same class. And so they have a split class, which is not preferable. So we are looking to go to the 2 lunch option, and but the rest of the schedule, we actually were able to do a dry run. Lisa Atkinson's a genius in the scheduling. We're able to take last year's student requests and put it into this year's, pretending like if we had this new schedule for this year, and we actually ran those through, and honestly it came out to where normally we have 7 pages of conflicts, and what a conflict means is that a kid has 2 classes that they chose that are scheduled at the same time, so then they have to make a choice. Is it band, or do you want to take band or whatever, right? So we went from 7 to 7.5 pages of conflicts down to 1 and a little bit. So it cut the conflicts down. We're down to a 1/7 less. So that's tremendous. So if we're able to do that with common planning all the way through, that was the big question: is would it work? I can tell you it works. So that's really good. So we feel like we're ready to go, actually.
Come up with a solution as far as accommodating all the kids for lunch? I mean, is the closed campus thing?
So the closed campus, I'll be honest, I'm kind of torn on that a little bit. 50%, it's right around 50% of our parents are either way. So we're split right down the middle. As you know, as I talk to them, and so if we do decide to go to the closed campus, with the two options, Jaren and I are working on increasing the number of seating by about 175. And so we've got some options to expand the commons lunch area, as far as even using the seminar room for lunch and some of those things. So we're working to accommodate that in case, you know, that decision will be made later. So we'll need to get more parent input and kind of see which way to go in that direction. So I would even, you know, welcome your feedback on that sometime when you see me. Let me know how you're feeling. But right now it's split about 50-50. I think I would prefer to go to closed campus. I think it's probably better for the school. And I think it's better for a lot of safety reasons and but I think the big reason is I think it keeps kids out of trouble during lunch. And so I would prefer to go to it, but we're pretty open. So that decision will come later and it'll work, you know, we can work that in.
That's a decision you gotta make.
Yeah.
You're gonna live with it.
Well, it is a decision we're gonna have to make, right? But I need, right? I don't wanna make a decision that 90% of the people in Evanston don't wanna do.
Right, but I mean, when you finally make that.
That's right.
That's an administrative task.
And so we're gonna have to, right, so we'll get all the feedback, and that's why I welcome your feedback, just to be able to make that decision. And then we'll be working with Mr. Thomas and to kind of see which way we need to go in that direction.
I'm assuming that the parent meetings were fairly positive on the schedule.
Yeah.
I know that the only feedback I've had was positive from all the parents, and the kids are all freaking out that they're gonna have more homework, because now they have, you
Yeah.
know, more classes, so they're gonna have more homework and are completely overwhelmed by that.
Yeah,
And I know you addressed that a little bit. Would you
Yeah,
do it
so one
again?
of the things that, as we go around, talk to individual groups, we're able to kind of alleviate a lot of that, because really they're not picking up more core classes. The ones that they'll be picking up are electives, and so is it gonna be a little bit more? Possibly, but is it gonna be enough to counteract some of the great things of having shorter classes for them? I don't know. So we've talked to a lot of kids. I think it's still a little bit of a concern where they are, but you usually don't see kids that are doubling up on core. I don't usually see kids that are taking double math or double English. So it really, once they have their cores in there, then what becomes the filler classes? It's more the electives.
So I know in previous discussions, you mentioned that the teachers felt like because they will see the kids more
Yeah,
in
they
this
can
new
they
schedule,
can do less
they
homework.
can get less homework because you'll have the chance to get it done during class time. Are the teachers still on board with that?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's just a natural phenomenon when you're teaching.
I don't know if it's as much done during classroom, just you're seeing it more, you're less worried about.
You're less worried about
Losing
sending them home with a
material.
pile?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now, if you have a kid that misses, for example, on a Friday, you'll see them Thursday, but you won't see them till the next Tuesday. And so that's worrisome when you have that amount of time in between classes. So that's when they pile on homework to actually keep them thinking and that. So if we can have class 4 times a week, that's much better than 3 to 4.
So Merle, for the layman out there,
Yep.
we're basically looking at a 6-period day.
Yep.
That rotates.
Yep.
And kids are taking 8 classes.
Yeah, so it's basically
And
a
they have an
6-period
advocacy
day.
in the So you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? People are gonna ask that question. So
Yeah.
it's really a 6-period day that rotates
Yeah,
every day. But they're taking 8 classes, am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, so they call it a drop 2 model. So
Drop two.
so they have 8 classes that they're taking at one time, but because they're only taking 6 in one day, they drop 2 each day.
Each day.
Yeah,
And
so,
you start Monday out on 1st and 2nd.
well, we kind of had to
You were
change that.
thinking about that.
Yeah,
You
we
dropped one
wanted
of
to
them.
do that, but
Now it's 4th and 8th.
4th and 8th, and so that's one of the negatives in there. And so when we figured out that lunch thing is if you split it to where you have 1st and 2nd lunch, let me go back.
I see 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, so if you have 1st and 2nd, so if you actually take a day, so Monday, where they were missing first and second, what it does is it throws it to where their lunch is with a different period. So it might be
Depending on the day of the week.
it might be sixth period. And then the next day, if they don't have a seventh or eighth, it could be during a third period, you know. So what it did is it made it so kids would have 4 different lunch periods tied to different periods. And so the question came to the staff, do you want to have kind of that weird, you know, that 4-8, 3-7, 2-6, 1-5, you know, do you want to have that rotation and have the kids have 2 times for lunch, or do you want to have the, you know, the more common rotation of, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then have the kids have 4 to 5 different lunches in a week, and they're like, oh my goodness. So they think that just, it'd be better to, well, where it comes into play is parents that are like, okay, I need to schedule a doctor appointment, and okay, now which lunch is Wednesday, right? And so it becomes so difficult for families to be able to do that. And it's just easier to do the weird rotation for kids because it keeps the periods closer to the same time during the day. So it's just kind of weird how that works, but we just didn't want kids to have 4 to 5 different lunch times in a week. We weren't, you know, as a group, we weren't okay with that, so.
Lunch is the same time every day except for Thursday?
Well, see, so if you look at it, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are during 5th period, and Thursday, Friday are during 6th period. So at least, you know, so they have it associated with 2, but it's around the same time. And the other one was, man, it was really throwing them off. It would have been super complicated for kids and families, and so we chose not to go that way. But I think as a committee, I think as a staff, everybody's feeling pretty good about it. I heard, you know, even today, I heard from 2 departments, we are so excited to go to the new schedule. So there's a lot of, that was from foreign language and from math. Yeah, so.
Were they able to keep like the ag class doubled up
Yep.
like you had hoped in
Yep.
child care?
Yep,
Is
so
that
we're
the
able to
one?
do that. So that ag class, if you look at the 7th and 8th period on that schedule, 7th and 8th period is where that's gonna be double blocked. So now Brendan Ellis is gonna see them every day now. And 3 of the days is when it's double blocked, and 2 of the days it's single. And he's like, you know what, I'm really good with that because that allows me to have those 3 specific days, but then I see him every day. So he's excited. He said he can work with that for sure. Yep.
So Merle, Friday's only showing till 10:34. What does that mean?
Oh, you keep going at the
Oh.
next page.
Oh, sorry about that. Technology got me on that
We're
one.
Yep.
really early out that day.
Yeah.
Early, I was got an early out day, ball game, huh?
So when we go to a 4-day school week, this is literally the perfect schedule for it.
Right. Cheers.
So I'm doing anyway, sorry. Yeah,
One thing at a time.
yeah,
Question on, and I don't have it up, so.
Yep.
Late start Monday.
yep.
All the social studies teachers in the secondary level want to meet. Middle school and high school all together, talk about social studies. How's
Mhm.
that gonna work if the rotation's completely
Well,
with that?
as far as during their periods or during their planning hours,
They've got, what, an hour before?
well, so on the late,
Hour, and then you're gonna get secondary people all together, middle school and high school, and yet, I guess it works.
so it works in the morning because our mornings are similar times because we're basically done at 7 or at 8:40.
Yeah.
So they have a half an hour to get ready for school. So everybody, it still works on the late start Mondays. So that's really nice. Yeah, so that was really nice. I can tell you, I'm so excited to actually have common planning with folks. Because right now, we just don't have that built into our schedule. It's so difficult to get a group together. They're having to give their lunch time or morning time or whatever. And so I cannot wait for the ability to be able to do that great work during that time. So it's pretty exciting. But it worked really well with I mean, paging a little bit of conflicts, that's amazing. That's really amazing versus 7 or 8 pages, so.
And I'm sure that there will be kinks and we'll work them out as we go.
Yeah, there will be. You know, there'll be some unforeseen things. The one thing that I did like is when we talked to Lovell, who was on a drop 2 schedule as well, they said the further they've gone into it, they actually find more and more things they like about it.
Okay.
And so that was a really encouraging statement, you know, coming from some of their staff, so.
Anything else?
And there are a lot of other schools are going to it right now, so Jackson just went to it, so.
Does that change the teacher contracts at all? with
You know
the
what?
time on there?
Well, we did add the extra time on there, but we're not gonna change their contract time. I mean, we could, but I don't think we need to. You know, basically it's, what is it, half an hour before, 15 minutes after? I just don't think we mess with that. I think we just keep the same contract time, and then we, you know, they'll be teaching a little bit more during that time, during that day.
During that contact,
Yeah.
but they're still using the same time.
So they'll be teaching more, but at the same time, this schedule, one of the positive benefits is it ends up with about 250 more minutes in each class. So whatever you have first period versus our first period now is gonna have 250 more minutes. And so when you do the math all the way across, you'd think that it would be less, but it actually, the block schedule we're on now has the least amount of contact time per class of any that I know. A 7-period day has the most. If we went to a 7-period day, we'd be adding 400 and some minutes per class. And so I'm excited about that, because they're actually teaching during their contract, but they're actually getting that 200 and some minutes. They're gonna get that in planning. So it's a little bit of a trade-off for them. They'll get a little bit more, so.
Thank you.
So anyway, so I think we're ready. We're moving forward. We're gonna change all of our handbook stuff and all of the registration stuff. We're in the middle of that right now to get that all ready to go so that we can start registration in January, February, so we're good. So, thank you, guys.
Okay, we are on now for our discussion items. I keep wanting to do a touch screen on this new computer and it doesn't work. First item for discussion is an update on the school safety rules. This is our policy CKA, I believe. Mr. Thomas, it looks like you are on.
Madam Chair, members of the board, why this is coming up. This is really brief. All I wanted to do is actually physically show our website and show everyone where they can actually find these links. We won't take the time to go through them, but this is u101.com, and actually I really like our website. I think we've done a nice job with it. Hopefully, if I can get to it now. If you notice down at the bottom, you see the spotlight section. And notice of intent to adopt new rules, CKA, is right there with the link. More information about the notice, click on this link. That goes to the spot that has all of the information. And if I wasn't smashed on this screen, you actually see there's a link right here on the normal screen that says you can go make comments. So that's one place. And then, this is different. Let's see, if you go to board, maybe. It doesn't do that on a normal. Jaron? Did I get to board there? Yeah, if you notice, you go to board, and that's under the drop-down menus on the regular screen. All the way down at the bottom, you see notice of intent to adopt rules. If you click on that, it actually goes to a location that gives you everything you want to know. It actually has a screen on the side that has every document that we've ever worked on. Has all the attachments clean. It has the strike through. It has the principal statement of reasons for adoption. It has the explanation of if we've hit the minimum substance statutory requirements. It actually gives you 21.3.132, so the actual statute, and then it also includes 16.3.101, the rulemaking or Wyoming Administrator's Procedure Act. So it's all right there. The notice is actually on the left. The whole thing is the notice that has the district's dedicated email address, so they can send comments there too. So hopefully we're as transparent as we possibly can be in providing everyone the opportunity to comment on the notice of intent to
How many
develop
comments do we
rules.
have so far, Ryan?
Very limited. Under 5. And no comments on our email site. So,
Yeah, I actually asked Mr. Thomas that the other night, how many do we have? And he said 4 and counting my test. So, I mean, certainly we want people to know where to go if they want to make a comment. But I appreciate this, and the more we can get out there that, hey, there's a link and here's where you go comment, the better.
really pretty easy, I guess. If you can find uinta1.com, we tried to put it where it's pretty obvious. So, and the comment section is basically just that. You can put any comment you want. If you look at the statute, the Wyoming Administrator's Procedure Act requires a signature. It's just your email address. So,
And so I haven't received any emails. I don't know if anybody else has. I know, Jeff, for the new board members, we are asking them that if a community member speaks to them in the grocery store or whatever, that they document that somehow and send it to Ryan. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we
'Cause-
should have
we have a comment sheet.
a
that we
comment
do.
sheet that was on Google Docs.
So,
that
okay,
we use.
so for the, like I say, for the new board members, if they talk to folks, then they need to fill out the comment sheet and turn it in, and you'll help them through that.
I don't know if we've circulated that to the new board members yet, but
I'd-
that needs to happen.
I'd also encourage them to go to the website.
Right.
That's what we talked about in our meeting there
Yeah.
was, instead of having to document all that, just have them.
Right,
the
and that's,
comment page.
right, it's easier to just say go comment, but technically, I think we're supposed to,
Still need to make a record
we're
of
supposed to
it,
make a
though.
record of whoever talks to us, so.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
The good news is that you just barely got sworn in, and unless they've talked to you since you're swearing in,
Yeah,
you don't have
so
to
it should be
document it.
good.
Now it counts.
Yeah.
I'll get with Jaren, we'll circulate that to the new board members, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you receive a comment in the grocery store or whatever, you just make a record of who, what, when, where, and why, and how, and, who it was, what time it was, what they said, essentially. And even if it's just that I informed them that they should submit the comment on the website or on the email, record that, and, that'll take care of it. We don't wanna overcomplicate it.
Okay, any other questions? Next item for discussion is the official newspaper. Is anybody leading that charge, or we just?
I can lead it, Madam Chair, members of the board. Again, this is an item that we'll approve on the consent agenda in January. Just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that the official newspaper is Uinta County Herald.
Unless they've got a big competitor, we don't know.
Yeah, that pops up soon, but Uinta County Herald would be named as the newspaper.
Okay, and then depositories for district funds, is this a John thing? Or-
Yeah, John, why don't you come answer questions? You do have
Again,
it on
this
board doc.
is what we approve in January. This is sort of our official actions to say this is our bank and this is our newspaper
Yeah,
and this is
and
our.
again, we just notify in December, so if there's any questions or concerns, we can make changes, any discussion, and then we'll approve it in January.
You should have a list of the funds that we deposit in. The main thing is that you have to sign an affidavit that basically says that you do not have any controlling authority. That does not mean that you don't put money into it. You know, you can be invested or you know, put your savings account wherever. But if you're a member of the board, if you are employed by them, we do want to know that. And so that's the main thing. Okay, any questions?
I'm assuming that that's part of the documents they have to fill out tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won't be
We
approved
won't,
till
we won't sign
January.
them until okay, so we won't do it till January.
And then for the signature cards, just to let you know, that doesn't go into effect until January, because the banks need official board minutes to enact that. So I just hold off on that, and then after the January meeting, I go after the signature cards and swap everybody out. So, okay.
Thank you. Next is our board meeting schedule for the next year, and I know we were talking about making some tweaks to that.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, this is a little different. I'm going to start with the easy part. Just some notice and some recommended changes to our current schedule for 18-19. If you recall, what we've added in January is we have the January 8th regular scheduled meeting. We also have the next Tuesday, which is the 15th, which is a public hearing for policy CKA. You also have the next week, which is the 22nd, which is the second public hearing for policy CKA. And those two special board meetings are simply, you guys listen to comments. There is no discussion or interaction. We just take comments at that time. I'd also recommend, as Jeff and I have looked at the schedule, that the fourth Tuesday in January be used to have the board review the comments. That way the board can determine what they want to do at the March regular scheduled board meeting. So bottom line is you guys are going to be really busy in January. So every Tuesday in January, the board needs to meet. Of course, for the public hearing, we need to have a quorum. And if you want to listen or go through the comments, you'll need a quorum too. So apologize, but
So are we keeping it on the second Tuesday? Is that?
well,
where
I
we
haven't
ended
got
up?
to that yet.
Oh, okay. That's
That's just for January, yeah. The other concerns that we have is Russell is on a 2-week on, 2-week off schedule, which doesn't allow the board to just say first, second, third, or fourth because the schedule changes. And truly, that's up to the board. Russell has given me his schedule, and I did include a draft schedule it's an alternate schedule for the 18-19 school year. And it shows the meetings on the 15th, 22nd, and the 29th. It shows that we'd have to switch the February board meeting to the 26th, which is the fourth Tuesday, I believe. I did just change the work session, but remember, we only do those if they're needed. So the regular meeting would again be the fourth Tuesday, which is the 26th. And then again, it would be the third Tuesday in April. In May, it's the third Tuesday. And in July, it's the third Tuesday. And that's to accommodate Russell's schedule.
I mean, that actually works better for me as well, so, but I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I'm open as long as I have something like this that I can work around, so I think.
I have a hard time changing it. I don't mind keeping it on a certain Tuesday every month, whether it's the first, second, third, or fourth. But I have an issue changing it from second, third, fourth, first, back and forth, because we have a lot of people that plan their schedules around that, and I just think it needs to stay on one Tuesday of the month, and that way everybody can just plan on that and arrange their schedules around.
I'm the same way. I don't like to change it. I think it should be second Tuesday. And if you're here, you're here. If you're not here, you're not here.
I mean, it's not just the board members that it affects
Bouncing around.
employees that are here, teachers, different things like that. They plan their schedules, you know, if they know they're presenting or whatever that may be. Like I said, I don't care if it's the first, second, third, or fourth Tuesday. I just allotted Tuesdays to school board meetings, but I don't think we should be changing it back and forth and have a.
So even if we do this, Jenny, where we have it a year out for a whole year?
I have a hard time with that just because there's too many people that it involves. It's not just us as board members, it involves employees.
It is pretty unique how many schedules are affected by our schedule. The rec center also sets their meeting at a certain time. The BOCES, which is ours, so we could change those meetings, will be affected by that. City council, of course, is on a Tuesday of the night, a certain Tuesday. I think it's the first Tuesday. So you'll be bouncing into some of those things. I mean, they can be done. It's just, there will have to be a policy change because right now our policy is the second Tuesday for regular sessions. Work sessions are to be determined. We tried switching it to the first and the third, or the first and second. Thank goodness we went back to one a month. And so it's truly up to the discretion of the board if you want to have a schedule like this. We'd have to make a few policy changes, but you are impacting other organizations and their board meetings. Right now, oh, sorry.
Excuse me. I'd like to add to that is school events too, because as an ex-activities director, you go to the school groups with this calendar at the end of the year and they set concerts and set everything else. There's still conflict.
Yes, I was gonna say like tonight.
Still conflict. But they look at all this too and try to stay away from school board dates. And if we're not consistent, it's gonna be miserable.
Hey, Ryan, just a minute ago, you read
Mhm.
through, this will be the first Tuesday, the second, will you do that again?
Sure.
Real quick?
So in January, it's every Tuesday.
Except for the very
Yeah.
first Tuesday, yes, New Year's
And
Day.
February is the 26th,
Which is the
which is the
4th.
4th.
Put that on the overhead.
You should have it on your documents.
He may have the, and I've got it written out too. So it's the second Tuesday in January, the fourth Tuesday in February, the
fourth in
fourth
March.
in March, and then we go third.
Third. Mhm.
Right, so I mean, what Jenny was saying, if we wanted to move it to the third, which appears to be the best
But-
and the most common, but
And
yeah.
I'll hesitate. Russell's been really good with his schedule. His schedule's challenging, there's no doubt. If we leave it at the second, it actually starts the 1920 calendar pretty well. It's like 5 months without any conflict.
Okay.
As soon as you shift back to another Tuesday, it shifts, I think it starts shifting, and you have that copy too. It starts, the alternative calendar starts shifting, I think in November
Right.
of the next one. So that's probably the hardest thing, and I,
So we will make this decision in January, and everybody really should study the schedule and see what they like.
Even if we did all third, that would be hard for you guys.
no.
So if we did
can-
all
No, it
thirds,
just needs to stay the same. It
Yeah.
can't be bouncing back and forth.
I'm
So
not-
whether it's
I
the
agree.
third Tuesday, yeah, second, first, fourth, I don't care, but it needs to remain the same so that everybody can plan their schedules.
So it looks
around
like the third is the most that
and
would
that's
work
certainly the
for
best
you.
one
It's
for me.
actually,
Well,
well,
it'll change.
I don't,
In-
I don't think
in
so.
this
It's
calendar.
not gonna be-
You don't think so, Alexis?
That it's the third would work.
The third Tuesday?
The third is the one he's got on there the most.
Okay. That's, I only have, well, I guess there's 5.
And then you look into the next, as you go into the next year.
And then that's third, second, first, fourth,
Yeah.
Ryan, what does that mean when you say that makes the first 5 months harder once you shift? Like, what are you talking about?
In Russell's schedule for the 1920 calendar, he's available the second Tuesday for, I think, the first 4 months in a row. From July, I think, through November. Let me get it up so I'm not just guessing.
Guys,
Russell, are you still on the phone?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
We're talking about you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So, and if, just, so I can say my piece, of course, I'd be absolutely thrilled if we could just, work completely around my schedule, of course, so I just want to chime in on that. If we do have to pick a specific day, or we need to try and be accommodating, maybe if we work, maybe a half and a half, maybe just 6 months, and then we move to another day, or if we could just have to do absolutely one Tuesday of the month for the entire year. There's also potential I could try and work with my back-to-back and change my work schedule to be more accommodating to the board. If the board would be so inclined to try and work with me, Tad, by all means, I would work over and really work with my back-to-back to try and also be accommodating to the board. If maybe we could even do like a 6 month and then change to another 6 month, or just try and think out of the box, or think of different solutions than just like a one-size-fits-all thing.
What for starting out next year, Russell, what is the best Tuesday to start on for you? Like if we did the first 6 month stretch like you're talking about?
So, I'm not actually looking at my schedule, I'm looking at probably the exact same one that you're looking at.
Right.
If we do revisit this, at the next meeting, I could try and put together as many good times as possible, and then also work back to see if we could kind of slide our schedule as it transpires throughout the year to maybe give me a little bit of time to work on it also. I'll see if I can find the best, easiest solution, I suppose, to get us all just on one Tuesday of the month, whatever day that is.
So, yeah, that would be helpful, and I think, so what we would need to do next month is amend the current schedule
Just
that
approve
runs
a new
through
one.
July, and then it's a new schedule starting from July to July.
Yep.
And we can figure out what we're doing. Like I say, I mean, I'm easy either way. I just know that if I have my druthers, the second Tuesday is actually the worst one for me. I can be here. It just would be helpful if I did something other than the second, so.
And
for what
we'll
that's
be
worth.
here whatever Tuesday you pick, so. Yes.
And just to clarify, this would require a policy change.
Yes.
So, I mean, it would be very difficult to be changing our policy like every 6 months or something like that. So, we do have to do that as well.
What if you know you're gonna have, like, I'm gonna have some conflicts somewhere along the line, should I work up a schedule too? And
You have your conflicts a year out, though? That's what
they
we're
might be,
doing here.
because I have to give reservations to certain things.
I mean, I
I could do
certainly.
like 5 years out.
I mean, there are going to be times when all of us end up missing a meeting. But to the extent we can be accommodating, and Russell, to the extent your work will work with you, that would be helpful.
So
Anybody else?
so what I'd recommend is that January's already set, because of the special meetings.
Right.
So we have actually till the 1st of February to decide.
So we
what
don't
wanna do.
necessarily have to approve this on the 8th.
No.
We can work around it.
Actually, this is just for discussion.
Okay, perfect.
So, but I wanted to make sure you knew that January is gonna be busy for you guys. We'll see how many times we conflict with other organizations in January, because we'll meet every Tuesday.
I mean, if this is important
And-
to them, they'll choose our organization to be at.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the key too, is when Russell and I had the conversation, there may be some times that we need to get online, and many times he can do that, sometimes he can't, and he can form that next
So,
month.
and I was actually gonna ask you about that too, you and Jeff, Brian. I don't know if, electronic, attendance by electronic means, do we have to adopt a policy to allow that, and have we?
We probably should.
I was gonna say, I think to be safe, we should adopt an electronic attendance policy.
I don't know that we have to, but it's a good idea.
So we may wanna look at that while we're at it, so
Okay.
that we can do a.
I'll snoop
Skype or
around, see if
whatever.
there's another one out
I'll
there.
send you mine.
Okay, there are some others out there then apparently.
Yeah.
So that's really the discussion that I had with that. Sounds like we're gonna hold until February, speak with, Russell and see what we can work out.
Okay, and then the final, item for discussion is our policy JHG, which is the policy regarding reporting of child abuse, which
Yep.
was sort of raised at the last meeting.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, we'd actually began working on that before the last meeting, but perfect timing if there is such a thing. The draft policy you have does have the underscored, or the strike-throughs, excuse me. Basically, what I did again is I went to probably the 6 best districts in the state, found their policy. Bottom line is our policy was more just steps to what to do and how to report. The new policy is actually the statute. And it clarifies that there is an obligation and a requirement to report. We are a little different because we're a school and an organization, and the statute deals with us specifically that way. An employee has to report it to their direct supervisor, and they still are not released from the obligation to report. But they're released once a report has been filed, and that's kind of, I think, what we've done in the past. Made it pretty clear to the principals, this is not discretionary. It is, you file a report when a report is filed with you. We did have the discussion, if you read through the law and the statute, and it's in our policy, is if someone comes to you and there is a claim of child abuse or neglect, and they tell you that a report has been filed, that obligation doesn't fall back to the school. It's already, by law, the requirement is filled. And I think that's confusing to some, because I've had some principals call and said, well, this individual reported to me, but they've already done an investigation. There's already been a report filed. It's already been taken care of. Do I need to file one too? And that's a no, you don't. report has been filed.
Let me ask this, Cassie, since we've got you here. I mean, does it hurt for the principal to follow up and just say, hey, are you aware of this one?
No, it doesn't, and that happens a lot. There's a lot of times that we'll kind of get dual reports, and as long as we have the information, we are good. We will sort that out. But a lot of times, even when, say, a principal will call, we'll even ask, can you have the teacher or whoever got the information firsthand to give us a call too, just so we've got the most information as we
So,
possibly can.
I mean, it's a better safe than sorry, even if.
Most definitely.
Even if
Yeah.
it's, if they think it's already been reported, it's sort of one of those things, do it anyway, maybe.
And we have a regulation attached to this policy that's a documentation. You document the report. Actually, looking at the other districts, ours is better than theirs. So we'll probably just keep the one we have. It provides more opportunity to give better, more specific information for the person reporting it. I do like this new policy in terms of it does encourage, recommend that it's in writing and verbal. I think that's important. I can't imagine it wouldn't help all of our organizations. It also encourages that I'm notified, because we've had a situation where we've had multiple reports turned in by 2 different principals. And if they'd have called, we could have said, no, a report has been filed.
So this is on for first reading tonight.
It is later on the agenda.
Right, later on the agenda. So I suppose, unless anybody has other questions or
Can I ask a quick
changes?
question, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Ryan, the immunity sentence
Uh-huh.
at the end, where did that come from?
I imagine it was one of the other districts I borrowed it from.
Okay, we might have to look at that one, I'm not sure.
Okay,
It's
and
not I don't think we can grant that sort of immunity. It'd be nice, but,
We just can't wave a wand and say, hey.
No, I don't think so.
Well, and I was
I
also
haven't
gonna
looked
add,
at
yeah,
that
Jeff hasn't had the
particularly,
opportunity to
but,
look at it yet.
That immunity sentence is probably gotta go.
Well, that was
Okay.
going to be my next question, Jeff, is have you had a chance to read through this? Because I did see that. I didn't know if there was a state statute that granted that, so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It'd be nice.
And
Yeah,
I'll-
that'd be fantastic.
I'll do some research and figure out where I got it. I'm pretty sure I didn't pen it because,
So I do have just one comment on some wording, and
Okay.
just for consideration. And with me saying this, it's not that I don't think it's a good idea, but when it comes down to, page 2, the interviewing of alleged victims during school hours, I still support that, the principal or designee be, there present, because it is allowed by statute, that somebody be able to be there, but the wording expected to be present, sometimes that's just not possible or realistic for them to be there during those interviews because of their schedules and whatnot. And a lot of times, even based on the situation, sometimes it's just too many people in the room. And so if it's a situation where maybe it's not the best idea for somebody to be present during an interview, I don't want them to go back to this policy and say, well, the policy says I have to be there. Does that make sense?
no, it makes great sense. And as I looked at that, that's typically where the schools get put in the middle. In terms of our responsibility, of course, when a student comes to school, we're in local parentis, we're the parent. And so when there is a claim, an investigation, the expectation is that it should be communicated to typically the principal or the administrator or designee. If it is the parent that's involved, of course, the parents wouldn't be notified. But the policy and statute does talk about that parents should have the opportunity to be notified if there's a claim that doesn't affect them. The challenge with that, first of all, is how does all that work out? So we probably need to work on the language and make it, best case scenario, I can't imagine that they wouldn't want another adult that has responsibility for that youth in the room with them. That is hard because it puts the school right in the middle. But the school's in the middle anyway, especially if it's the school employee who reported the abuse or the neglect. So it's all to protect the child. And, but at the same time, we've seen situations, and you're all probably aware that if there is probable cause, the police don't have to ask us to interview a student at the school. They will interview the student without anyone's permission. It gets us in trouble too, but they have to have probable cause. If they just came to do an investigation, we typically, and they're pretty good at saying, can we have someone there with you, if they want us to. So even that's a little tricky. So we can look at the wording to make sure it's not, I agree, there's going to be times when there won't be a principal or representative even available.
Yeah.
I guess the judgment call in that case would be DFS and law enforcement to know that they may need someone there and they may need to wait. It kind of alludes to that based on the administrator's schedule, but we can look at the wording there too.
And that's even iffy realistically based on the nature of the allegations, you know.
Yes.
Sometimes it has to be done right
Protection
then and there.
immediately. Mhm.
I know it, and this is a policy-wise, but I know best practice when, if there's a situation where a child does have to be interviewed at school, we've always done, if a child requests a representative
Mhm.
from the school, we always let that happen. I just don't wanna tie our staff's hands and something happen.
And that's-
with the
that's-
expectation.
Don't they have a policy, Cassie, there at DFS of any kind when it comes to this?
So we go off of, so what we do is we go off of Title 14, and what I have right now is, it's 14.3 to 14 E, and it's E and whatnot. So pretty much it just says, nothing in the statute prohibits the attendance of anyone of the following at an interview conducted on school property by a law enforcement or child protective agency personnel of a child suspected to be abused or neglected, provided the person is not subject of the allegation. So, and it says the principal of the school or the designee, or a teacher, counselor, specialist employed by the school district and assigned the duties of monitoring, reviewing, or assisting the child's welfare in cases of suspected child abuse or neglect. So we just go off of that there's nothing stopping a representative to be there.
I can see why the policy was worded the way it was now that you've read that statute, but we can tweak it a little,
Well, and that's where I took
throw in some statute.
that from too, was that same statute.
Yeah.
Is
We can tweak it.
It is, well, yeah, that's the challenge, is our responsibility to protect our youth and DFS responsibility to do an investigation, and including law enforcement too. I know I've had more calls that, well, there was no one in there with my son or daughter. Well, yeah, there were adults, I mean, you know, and that's one of those things, I think, it's a hard judgment call. So we wanna make sure the policy is pretty clear that we both have the right to protect the kids. And that's our obligation. They're our responsibility when they're at school. So we can work on it.
Okay, thank you.
So if you have some suggestions,
Okay.
great.
All right.
I think that is it for our discussion items, so we're ready to move on to our school reports. Who do we have on the agenda tonight? Mr.
Horizon.
I see Mr. Hamilton moving, so.
Good night. I'll keep it quick here. Take the opportunity, I guess, to start off with the new board members, just by kind of recapping and explaining a little bit about what Horizons High School is all about. We are an alternative school, one of 18 in the state. I'm Shad Hamilton, the principal of Horizon 2. I probably should have started with that, but most of you guys know that. I've worked a long time with alt schools in the state of Wyoming, helped coordinate all of them. And Horizon, I think, is one of the best ones in the state. Just to recap kind of what we're about and give you some stats, our enrollment right now is 53. We usually average around 60, give or take, historically. Started off slow this year because we made some big cuts last year with the budget and trying to get our ratio down to 8-to-1 students. We're picking up. By semester, we should be approaching 60. We have about 4 students, one scheduled to start tomorrow, and they just keep coming in. So we have 6 full-time teachers and 3 partial combined ones to make up one. So we have 7. The state recommends kind of an 8-to-1 teacher ratio for alternative schools, and you can do the math. 7 times 8. We're about there. When we average 60, we meet that ratio. We offer math, science, social studies, English, language arts. We have PE, health, combined building trades teacher. We have a culinary arts teacher that also offers our APEX, our credit recovery class. We have CCR, Photoshop, design, kind of CTE strand, IT fundamentals, which is a strand in the tech department, and a building trades strand too. Our CTE, career technical education strand, is pretty unique to alternative schools. It's really awesome. It's what sets Horizon apart from the other alternative schools in the state. The other alternative schools often kind of look to what we're doing with our CTE clusters and stuff. So I think that's pretty exciting, and we're trying this year. One of our goals has been to increase the enrollment in those strands and kind of emphasize those more as we build that side of the program. So along with those, or that thinking, we have an exciting project coming up. Beth from Sensible Nutrition's been working with our culinary arts teacher, Candy, and somehow through University of Wyoming, there's some different folks that'll come in and build greenhouses for schools that don't have them. And they do this for free. In our case, they're going to work with our building traits class. The greenhouses are not permanent structures. They just sit on the, we have a pad out in front of the school that's pretty big. I think it'll fit right on there. But they don't require electricity, heating, or anything like that. So there's not any building code issues that we should have to worry about. I've checked with the maintenance guys in our district on that. But this project, I hope, will involve our building traits students. Our culinary arts program intends to use the greenhouse for some of the stuff that they do and grow and will use. And our science teacher does a botany class, and she hopes to use the greenhouse mostly in the fall and the spring. But in the spring, as kind of a project she has in mind to do starter plants, and she's talked about doing flowers community service projects where they can start all the plants, and at the end of the school year kind of get with different agencies in the community, plant them, do that kind of stuff. I know other districts use greenhouses and stuff for fundraising type of activities where they sell the starters in the community and stuff like that. So we're excited. I think there's a lot of potential for it. The teachers are excited with this project. It's coming up. I just got the green light for this, and we scheduled September 9th is when they'll come in and they'll build it next fall. And then our building traits will also help kind of maintain it, and they've got to build the planters for it and stuff. So kind of exciting project, I think, coming up that ties into our CTE programs. And the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was a really cool opportunity I had with my teachers last Friday. Fremont County School District number 1 over in Lander. All you guys know that's kind of where I come from a little bit. I actually worked for 21, helped start Fort Washakie High School. But Fremont 1 in Lander has started standards reference grading. And with the high reliability schools work that we've been doing in our district for the last 2 years, it really leads to standards reference grading, the level 4 component. And whether or not schools actually get that far and do that sometimes varies. And we're nowhere near that. I mean, we're a few years away from that yet. But Lander's unique in Wyoming in that their high school started standards reference grading versus usually you'll see that stuff happen in the elementary school and then work up. But they started it first thing with the high school, and they're kind of working it down. They're in their second year of actually of doing this. And standards reference grading is really going to proficiency scales and kind of getting away from grades. It's a whole nother mindset. But because of the work that we're doing with high reliability schools in the district, I wanted to take my teachers down there because they have an alternative school in Lander. I ran it 15 years ago. And I wanted to, and they're doing standards reference gradings, one of the only alt schools in the state that is. And I thought, well, what with the early release day that we had Friday and the wrestling tournament and stuff, I took a small crew of teachers down there so they could see what that looked like in an alternative school setting. And it was a really powerful experience. I mean, they've been getting 2 years worth of training in the high reliability schools work that we've been doing around priority standards and building rubrics and working toward the GVC, viable curriculum, all those things. And it really started to click when they could see what another district in Wyoming, another alternative school in Wyoming has done with that same work. I mean, when the teachers came in and presented to them, they had an opportunity to tour the school a little bit and talk with the principals and stuff. But when they started seeing that language and seeing, oh, that's how you're doing this, I mean, it really started making sense to them. It was like, yeah, we've been doing the same thing here. So it was, in some senses, our district was really advanced and ahead in some categories and stuff, and in other senses we learned some things from what they did. They were super transparent about the process. They didn't paint a really pretty picture about what it looked like at all. It's been a lot of work for them, and it's kind of been a clumsy process and on some fronts, but it was really cool for the teachers to be able to see that. And I think it's the most powerful experience we've had related to the work that we've been doing in that so far. And I know the reason I'm bringing it up to you is I know if as you work with other school boards across the state, that you're going to hear more about this, and specifically you're going to hear more about Landers School District and the work that they've done around standards reference grading. And I just wanted to kind of make that connection and help you understand how that relates to some of the work that we've been doing in our district too. And I also would invite any of you to come hang out at Horizon and visit us too if you're curious about it, and visit with me some more. And
only if that culinary school has cookies.
hey,
No?
let's see,
Okay.
4th hour from 2 to 3.
Thank you. Do we have any other school reports?
Madam Chair, members of the board, anytime I get these letters sent to me, I like sharing them with the board. This is actually from the Wyoming High School Activities Association. This was sent to Principal Lester, and I get a copy. This is part of the letter. As per recommendation from the game officials, I am pleased to present Titus Cornea with the enclosed Wyoming High School Activities Association Good Sport Award for his exemplary conduct and good sportsmanship shown during the Evanston versus Torrington football game held on October 26th. This is what the officials had to say about Titus. In what turned out to be a tremendously competitive and hard-fought game, these individuals rose to the top of the heap in regards to sportsmanship. These individuals simply stood out amongst their peers. It was a true pleasure to work with this contest. So pretty neat for Titus. So congratulations, Titus, and I'm sure Merle will pass the congratulations on to him. Also, just wanted to recognize
Hey Ryan, it's
Titus. Oh, was I calling Titus? Titus. Okay, thank you. Don't pass that on to Titus. I also wanted to recognize Ryan Berger. If you're aware, he was Wyoming High School Activities Coach of the Year for 4A cross country. Of course, they were state champions. The boys and the girls did great. I think it reflects the program that he's put in place. We had 95 kids sign up for winter track. So that's a record for us. So pretty impressive. So that's a lot. So I just wanted to recognize Ryan Berger. We are going to invite, of course, the cross-country team to visit with the board one of these days, and we can congratulate them together. So that's all I had. Thanks.
No other school reports? Okay. Do we have any public comments? Anyone? Bueller? No? Okay. We will move on to our action items. So the first item on our action item is the appointment of, or board appointment. Sorry, board appointments. This is members of the school board, the trustees, serve on other boards in the community.
and we need to figure out who's doing what and when and where.
Yeah, the BOCES board, you went to one, BOCES, that was Josh Welling, and so we have a vacancy on that board.
Is there anyone who is interested in serving on the BOCES board?
They might need to know their other options, they don't know.
That's true. So the UNA number one, there are two BOCES, right? There's the UNA number one BOCES, which.
And Region 5 BOCES,
And the
which
Region
is.
5, which Tammy serves on. and you're
Yes.
Yes,
And
okay.
that term is up to Tammy if she wants to continue it.
Like I could, what do you mean by that?
It
'cause-
means you don't have a choice, you're staying.
Yeah, okay, that's what the chairman says. No, you guys know you can change, you
I
can
mean, it's-
appoint someone else to
So
cover
right
it.
now, I will read to you, so the UNA number one BOCES, which is our joint cooperative agreement with the BOCES.
Western.
With Western Wyoming. Right now, we have Dave Bennett, Jenny Welling, Cassie, and then an opening on that one. That's really the only one we have an opening on.
I'm not on the BOCES anymore, I'm on the rec board.
Oh, you're on the rec board.
Jenny and I switched.
Oh, that's right, because you were on Region 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so,
No, we just swapped.
so, I think we only have 3 members on the UNA one BOCES, and you had listed 4.
no, there's 4 members.
Oh, there are 4,
There are
okay.
4.
So Tammy's on that one too.
And if someone else would like to pick up mine as well on that, they can.
So,
Wait a minute.
okay, so UNA number 1, there are 4 seats, 1 currently vacant, maybe 2 if anyone wants to pick up for Cassie. The Region 5 BOCES, Tammy, that's the one we're gonna make Tammy stay on.
Well, Tammy, she can explain what that commitment
Yeah.
is. It's
Oh.
once a month, right? No, once a quarter,
It's once a quarter, it's not, and you can call in, like it's
on the
okay.
phone.
Yeah.
unless you want to drive to Wilson.
Wilson's not bad.
No,
The Evanston Rec Board, which is Jenny, and it was Josh, so we have to replace Josh.
you don't have to replace Josh.
Oh, we don't have to replace Josh.
Josh has already expressed that he's willing to continue.
Fantastic. So Josh, Bubba, Jenny, and then Cody Bateman.
Yes.
We appointed.
Appointed by
for
the
that one.
board.
So we don't have any vacancies on
No.
the rec board.
Unless, again, it's truly the board's discretion with Josh.
Oh, you know what? I'm
So-
writing on the wrong thing.
Something that I didn't understand when I got on the school board is why we do this. Can you explain to these people why we do this? Well, yeah, you're
Well,
the
yes,
chairman.
so part of the reason why we have these seats on the board is because we have financial agreements with these boards primarily. So we levy mills in favor of the BOCES to fund some of the continuing education and adult education. So we want seats on the board so that we can have a say in how those tax dollars are spent, because it comes through us. The Region 5 that she sits on is part of the UNA BOCES is part of the region, and that's just sort of so we want somebody that's on that board to sit on the Region 5 board. And then the Parks and Rec, same thing, we share facilities, and have sort of a financial agreement, and so we wanna make sure that we have members that will represent the district and the district's interest on those boards.
So the BOCES, UNA BOCES is a cooperative between us and Western. We have 4 seats, Western has 3 seats, since it's in our community. Already mentioned, we are the fiduciary levying agent for them. And of course, they do a lot with our kids, so that's why we need 4 on there, really the majority. Yeah, we're one of 14 school districts that are in the cooperative with Region 5. Same thing as we provide 1/10 of a mil for their operations. We do have students that benefit from their program. Right now, they have Hayden Peak in our town, which is a day school, and so those funds are supporting our operations. CBAR-V is very, very expensive in terms of when you have a student that's enrolled, but again, there's probably very few places that provide that service when needed. So, and then the last one, the rec board, we have a rec district. It requires a cooperative between us and the city, and again, we have 4 members on that. So, and as mentioned,
The one
we-
that,
there's-
speaking of CBAR-V, is that the Region 5 appointment that does the CBAR-V, or is that
Yes.
separate? Cause
No,
Kim was
it's the
doing
same.
that.
No.
So that's the one, is the
Yeah,
Region.
I think Kim and Tammy traded or something at one point.
Cause I think that's a separate appointment, and it's not on the
No,
list.
the one that Dave's on. right?
It's Region
You're on the
5.
BOCES, yes.
It's Region
Is it
5.
that the Region
Yeah,
5?
it's
Okay.
the same.
Okay, so I'm not on the CBRV.
You're
So
not on the
she's-
CBRV?
So she's not on, because that was Kim.
Kim was
So-
on there.
Okay, so we
So
have
we
an
need to
opening then.
replace that one.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done any.
CBRV,
Okay.
CBRV is Region 5.
Okay,
So
yes.
it's the same. So that's, I
So-
think they had that wrong then, Cassie, because I think Tammy serves just on UNO 1 and Kim was doing the
You know
Region.
what? That was,
Region 5
that was,
CBRV.
That was Kirby.
Kirby was on the CBRV board.
Oh,
So
was
either
it?
way, we have an opening.
Either way, we do
Yeah.
have an opening for the CBRV one, and that's. the
Sorry about
quarterly
that,
one.
Tammy. I guess we just figured
Okay.
you'd take CBRV.
I can handle once a quarter, yeah. Okay, so we have possibly two, unless we can talk Cassie into staying on the UNO BOCES. And then we have one for the Region 5, and then the rec board, there are no vacancies. Okay. Is anyone interested in any of those?
What does it, just quarterly?
So the BOCES is quarterly.
Yeah,
The UNO 1 BOCES is quarterly.
Maybe 5 times.
and both of them you can call into, like when they have a meeting, you can be on the phone if you can't be there in person, and it's pretty low key.
And I'm pretty sure
They-
CBRV is quarterly.
Yeah, I think they were once
Meeting
a
too.
month actually
Oh,
on
are they?
Thursdays or something, as I recall Kim saying.
Yeah. Well.
But she called in.
There was.
CBRV is a out of home placement for kids through
High needs.
high needs kids. So it's actually a ranch there in Wilson,
Residential
Wyoming.
facility.
Okay, so I have a volunteer, Krista, for BOCES. Did I spell that right? CHRIST. This is for UNO 1, BOCES.
So Krista's gonna take you into one?
Krista's gonna take you into 1. If nobody wants Region 5, I certainly could probably volunteer to do that. I've avoided it thus far, so it's probably my turn, but if anybody else wants it, I'm certainly happy to give it up.
Well, you volunteered, so.
I'm giving everyone an opportunity.
I see that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We can have another volunteer.
Okay.
You into 1, BOCES 2.
Yeah, and Tammy said, or Cassie says we can have another UNO 1 volunteer as well. That's plenty for you, okay. So, cause,
Where's
yeah.
Russell? He's hiding down there.
Russell?
On the phone.
Still
Russell?
listening.
You could probably do the Region 5. That would maybe be good for him. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
do you
just
have
a
any
call-in.
interest in do the call-in once a month, or do you wanna do the 5 times a year UNO 1? Are you on the phone still? Anyone? Yeah, I think we may have lost him. Well, you know, if you're not here, then you get appointed, right?
Right.
Oh.
Well, and that's the other thing, is you can wait, you can do the ones you have now and still have an opening and do it later.
Okay.
Maybe Caleb wants to get
Is he
out.
on there? Is he on there?
Russell, can you,
He's
Russell,
chosen to
can
be
you hear us?
silent.
Oh, we can hear you now. You were so quiet.
I could hear you the whole time, and I was clicking my mute button, and it was moving, but nobody was actually responding to me.
Okay, do you have any interest in either the UNO 1 position or the Region 5 position?
No, not currently, so I really would like to try and figure out the school board and scheduling before I jump into one more thing and try and mess with somebody else's schedule. So currently, no, at some point in time, once we get this one mapped out, absolutely, like, I don't have any problem. And it's quarterly, right?
For the UNO 1, I think it's, Dave said it's 5 times a
5
year,
times a
so, and then the Region 5, I think, is a telephone call once a month.
Right, so I mean, we'll definitely have I'll have an opportunity to get into it. I just, I'd like to get through, at least get this whole school board, where and when and how we're gonna do that and how it's gonna play out first.
Okay.
Before I jump in on anything else.
Okay, so we've got, the only people not currently on a board would be Kay and Caleb, going once, going twice.
I'll
Okay.
serve on the BOCES one if you need me
You'll take Cassie's spot?
to. If she would like me to, I can do that.
I think that's.
I would love for you
I
to.
think that was the
I
hint.
think
All right, so,
So now say it out loud.
So,
Kay's the only
I
one.
need, here's what I need a motion for, okay? I need a motion to appoint Dave Bennett, Tammy Walker, Caleb Guild, and Krista Barker on the UNO One BOCES.
So moved.
Who's that?
Me.
Cassie?
Cassie, oh.
Jenny second.
Figure out who it was.
Any other discussion?
Move things.
You can't move and second and vote.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next one would be a motion to appoint Jamie Bracken to the Region 5 BOCES Board. Caleb
I
made the
will
motion?
second that.
Tammy second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then I guess we do need to have a motion to reappoint the standing rec district. So for the rec district, a motion to appoint Josh Welling, Bubba O'Neill, Jenny Welling, and Cody Bateman as our representatives on the rec board.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second that motion.
terrific. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are done with that one.
So the BOCES one, UNO one BOCES is tomorrow, the meeting.
Now you tell us.
Huh?
Isn't it the 18th?
We got an email today.
Oh, what is
They
it?
have changed the date?
What time?
It's
They hold
6.
I won't be going to that then.
Hold on. Did
That's
they-
a little short
here,
notice.
let me
I think
double-
that's allowed,
Yeah,
your short
I've got a bunch
notice.
of other stuff going on
That's
tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah, I
That's
have
okay.
Well, that's good, because you're supposed to be approved upon, so now you won't have to do it.
You may be chairman.
All right, we are moving on to the second reading of policy ING.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we made no changes on policy ING. It was approved in first reading last month. ING is simply the law that states about service animals in schools, protects the rights of individuals with disabilities, and at the same time, it protects the school. So I think it's a good policy. I recommend you approve it at second reading.
Okay,
Madam Chair, can I make one quick comment about the policy?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Ryan and I made several changes for the last meeting, but since I wasn't here, I wasn't able to comment on them. The only one I wanted to point out to the board, just so they know, is number 12. I know the board was really concerned about having strange comfort animals, like giraffe or something, I don't know.
Kirby's
I don't
horse.
mean to make fun of this, but there have been some strange ones in the news. Number 12 is something that I found looking at the federal law, and it just distinguishes between the rights to have a service animal and what happens when someone has an IEP for special education. And if in that IEP meeting, the IEP team determines that a comfort animal like a dog would help a student with special needs receive a free public education and maximize that education, then that IEP team can make that determination, and there's nothing that we wouldn't be able to stop at that point, because the IEP team would have the legal authority to make that decision. And so it is possible under this policy that we would have something similar to a comfort animal, although it would be under the direction of the IEP team, and I just wanted to make sure that the board knew that, so that there wasn't any worries about a comfort animal or anything like that, because those are still prohibited under the policy, but there could be an exception under the IEP.
Correct, and I believe we did actually have a chance to talk about that last week. There's a difference between service animals that are certified service animals and what they call therapy animals, which are the comfort whoobies, as they
So
were.
this policy prohibits that
Unless it's part of an accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is where the IEP and 504 plans come in.
The only other exception, I guess, would be the miniature horses.
But,
Which,
but they are certified service animals.
They are certified service animals.
Correct.
So you can't have a service dog or a service
Horse.
miniature horse. I don't think I've ever seen one, but
I actually
It's
have, and
there
they're
in the-
cleaner than the
in
dogs.
it's there in the policy, so.
So, with that sort of explanation, then I guess we need a motion to approve upon second reading unless,
Madam Chair, I move that we
Krista seconds. All right, any further discussion on the policy or any questions? All right, all those in favor of approving policy ING on second reading? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to policy GBC-1-E, which is the ethics, staff ethics provisions.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we discussed this at our last board meeting and approved it at first reading. If you recall, we received policy KIBA, which dealt with prohibited assistance to sex offenders. So it didn't make much sense to have that stand alone. So we actually inserted in GBC-1-E number 4, which is shall not assist entry into the profession or in obtaining a new job any person that is known or there is a probable cause to believe that such a person engaged in misconduct, including but not limited to sexual misconduct of a minor or student in violation of the law. Bottom line, it links to giving a reference in our code of ethics.
And it's the bold print in
Yes.
the policy that's on your,
Again, we recommend that you approve this at second reading.
all right, do we have a motion to approve upon second reading policy GBC-1-E?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve policy GBC-1-E, staff ethics.
Okay.
I second.
Second by Cassie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Just, excuse me, discussion for that.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to
Second
do that.
reading and final reading.
Yes.
Yes, second reading is final reading
Yes.
under our
We need-
policy.
We need to be clear about that.
Very good point, thank you. Yes. Yes, thank you for the reminder. All right, let's go on to the second and final reading of policy JLJ. I keep wanting to do my touch screen. Which is the seclusion and restraint policy that Mr. Williams was part of, I believe.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, again, we did talk about this last board meeting. This did go to Mr. Phillips. It's gone, basically what we did is we took what Wyoming Department of Ed recommends, and it was exactly like, we made the changes that they had recommended. We really only had one significant difference in our current policy, so we recommend that we approve it. It doesn't make sense to fight against Wyoming Department of Ed on seclusion and restraint. Matt's very up to date on this policy, and we do follow it. We report on it every year.
And my memory was this was sort of a complete rewrite, just to adopt what the Wyoming
Exactly.
people said to
They
adopt.
updated it.
Right.
Yep.
So, do we have a motion to approve on second and final reading policy JLJ regarding restraints and seclusion? Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Kay. Any discussion? I forgot that last time. All right, having no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and last but not least, this would be policy JHG, which we had talked about during our discussion regarding the child abuse. And we would need a motion to approve on first reading for this one,
With some potential amendments.
with some potential amendments, primarily on the immunity that Mr. Phillips talked about,
Yes.
and the staff in the room that Cassie talked about.
Yep.
So.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the first reading of policy JHG, reporting child abuse with the discussed proposals for amendments.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passed on first reading. The next item I have on the agenda is an executive session, I believe. Do we have an executive session?
Yes.
But we will have to come back in, it looks like, and approve some action items. So we will try to be very, very brief for those that want to remain in the room, but we will be back. I need a motion to go into executive session, I believe.
Madam Chairman, I move that we go into executive session at this time.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. I know, right?
Thanks for coming.
Huh, I wonder what I'm doing tomorrow at 6. I think you
Seriously.
probably know.
I really didn't do that on purpose.
You're fine. I'm cooking potatoes. but
I
don't-
just was remembering, I'm like, oh, by the way, there's a meeting tomorrow.
That works, because I missed it.
Yeah, there you go.
It should be, did you look on board docs? What's the related service contract under the approved action items? DLL. Thanks. That's not comforting either.
Yeah, that's not usual.
How you doing? Good. How are you doing? Doing all right.
It's warmer in here.
I can only heat one part of the building.
You can only heat one part of the building? Oh my gosh, I can't feel my legs.
I have to wait for the sun to come around the building before I.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna bring a space heater. There's outlets down here, so.
You can't have a space heater. Aaron won't let you.
Make the policies. I'll make a policy. It says I can have one.
Darren Mike, she never goes to sleep too fast.
We're not supposed to have space heaters at my job either, but I do anyway. Okay, we are back and need a motion to reconvene in open session.
So moved. Is that Tammy?
Tammy,
Second?
second by Cassie. Any discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to our action items. We have a related service contract on the agenda first.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the related service contract as discussed in the executive session.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Okay, Caleb made the motion.
Second that motion.
Dave seconds. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Next, we have an approval of student discipline.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we recommend that you approve the student discipline as discussed in executive session.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Caleb made the motion.
I will second that.
Tammy second. I will be abstaining from this vote.
I will as well.
And Cassie, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then 2 abstentions. Okay, we have board roundtable. We get to go around the down the line and say what we want to say about anything we want to say it about, you know? This is the dangerous part. So Cassie, I guess you get to start.
Oh, we're gonna go in order?
Why not?
Okay. So I don't know, I didn't see this on the agenda at the last minute, but I just wanted to let everybody know about the WSBA winter workshops. You got that?
I was gonna make the announcement, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when are
Sorry.
they?
So we have 2 workshop dates. One is January 12th in Riverton, and the other one is January 19th in Casper. Each session, they run 2 different workshops. One is about for new board members, and the other one is for new board chairs or current chairs as well. I personally have gone to both workshops. I really think that they're really good trainings, especially for new board members, and they're really worthwhile. So I would support everybody to go. And you get more information, and you get to share and hear what everybody else is going on in the state, and we're not unique to our struggles, and sometimes you get some really good ideas at these workshops as well.
Can you give me those dates again?
Yeah, January 12th in Riverton, and January 19th in Casper.
January's a busy month.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I was gonna say, of all the months.
Yes, and the workshops, it's kind of all day, so the registration is 9:30 to 10, so they really doesn't start until 10, and then you go to 3:45.
So the 12th is a Saturday, and then the 19th, right? Is also a Saturday, so they're both
Yeah.
Saturdays. And then the district would provide transportation to and from and whatever other
We teach you how to
accommodations.
use a credit card too.
Yeah.
Do they do these a couple times a year or something, or
No.
is this just
No,
once?
They
I don't
only do it in
understand why they
January
don't.
when it's
Yeah.
snowy and gross.
Yeah.
That's what they have that's what I'll be at the National Western Stock Show. I have the kids show in there, so that's why I was like,
Yeah, it's always in.
I know, I wish they would do it again like in March or April,
Or at least allow it to be
or
online or
videotape it or
something,
something
yeah.
and webinar it, yeah.
We've talked to them about that several times.
We did.
So I didn't mean to steal your thunder with this.
No, that's okay. It's your thunder, actually. I was gonna steal yours.
Okay, anybody else?
down the line, Kay, Tammy?
Yeah, I'm always looking out for activities a little bit, and we've had great fall and start that was going on with the EI. And you probably saw the paper, I'm a little bit behind everything, but Mr. O'Neill, I got a great award here recently as the Activities Director of the Year, and it's sort of hard to get, because we're mostly part of Utah instead of part of Wyoming.
Certainly, that's what the eastern side
Yeah,
thinks.
so congratulations to him. I just want to point that out to everybody, if you didn't know. And we're moving on.
Tammy, anything?
No, just welcome to all you new people.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the new board members. I hope it's not too scary. And you know, if you have questions, obviously holler.
It's overwhelming for a
It's a
while.
little overwhelming for a while. It is. Nothing else? Nothing, Dave? Jenny?
I have, Jenny, you got it? I have, I talked to Ryan about this, he said it's a good time to report, the Wyoming School Board Association and Delegate Assembly.
Yeah.
I heard you rocked it, Dave.
That was pretty interesting. Ryan and I spent the time coming and going and talked about everything, which is not unusual. We've been knowing each other a long time, but anyway, at the Delegate Assembly, they had a little different setup this time, and I thought it was pretty smart. You know how we have the consent items on the agenda?
Right.
They have a consent item now that are affirmed by the districts, and so they don't spend any time really talking about it unless they get more than 5 people in the Delegate Assembly to pull it out. Okay? Our definition of habitual truant and compulsory attendance were in the firm section. The dropout age did get pulled out, and you know, I'm one of those that thinks kids when they turn 18 ought not be in high school, but I went ahead and voted as you guys wanted me to vote for it, but a good thing came out of it. We had some dialogue, and it only got 23 votes in favor of it out of 88 delegates. But they did talk about if we would change it from 18 to 17, then we'd get on board.
And that's what we talked about.
Right, we talked about it. So next time, the resolution could be designed so that that wording would be in there, and I think we would get on board. And we could change that. It's that 18-year-old thing that just, because of the adult, you know.
I mean, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then, I understand that you did a great job with our policy CKA issue, and everybody jumped on board on that one.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Ryan, it's kind of funny because the boss isn't there, I'm the only one there, and I'm going, and I had to get up in front of all those people and talk about our resolution and sell it to the group. And I emphasized, very important, that this is not about guns. It's about local control and the method that we were told we could use and we couldn't use. And so, to make it as short as possible here, if you'll see we changed the definition a little bit, and the group thought it would really help as far as it going to the legislature. And what they came up with is that the Wyoming School Board Association supports a change to State Statute 21-3-132 that identifies a local educational agency as authority to define a policy to allow district employees to possess firearms on school district property as a policy concerning the internal management of the district, and one which does not impact private rights or procedures available to the public. And blah, 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 there's some other stuff, but what actually came about was the district, I emphasized that we had a choice to make, and it says, basically said this in there too, the district must now either appeal the decision of the court or redo the process in accordance with the WAPA. And the question at hand had to do with rulemaking authority and adoption of rules and regulations. And the statute potentially confuses the development and implementation of the act itself to local districts. So they want to know what we were going to do, and I basically said from our conversation that we decided that it would be not only a feel to proceed ahead and redo the process in itself. And the intent then would be to come up with a suitable due process through the ordinary, the policy-making process of the school district is the issue at hand.
Very good.
That was our real problem, and I also emphasize that they need to go back up to the legislature. Those people need to come up with a pathway for this policy. And then we took a vote, and I got all 80 votes.
I was gonna say, I heard you rock.
Yeah, but the other thing that was good is afterwards, I had 5 districts come up talking about it. All of them were waiting to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, they're waiting to see what happens, exactly.
One of our neighbor, Lincoln County, is really waiting, so.
Good job on that one, Dave.
I was gonna say, well done, and thank you for voting the way we told you to.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to report on.
All right, I think that's it, so.
Oh, one other thing, I would recommend that as board members, we start looking at next November. I think it's really something that we need to have 2 people go to. It's worth your time. I learned a lot more this time because I was more involved, but in the past, the resolution process was just a pain in the ass.
But this time it was easy.
Yeah, because they went over everything and went, oh, you know me, I'm an action kind of guy, I wanna get it done and move on. Well, they did this process, so start looking at it, we need to get 2 or 3 of us together.
They'll be able to go.
That'd be great, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
They like
that's
it
true,
too.
huh? The other thing I was gonna mention, Ryan, is the National School Board, in the end of March, 1st of April in Philadelphia. Right now, I'm the only one going, and we do have the opportunity to have 2 other people go, is that right?
Yep.
To the National School Board Association meeting. And those, Tammy and I went last year in San Antonio, and they were very good and very helpful for us. There was like a new board member boot camp that was really good, so.
It's really like.
So
gaining
that one
this
is in March.
Bigger perspective of like, oh, you too?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly.
Okay.
Most inner city schools have this.
So if anybody is interested, you probably should let Sherry or Ryan know right away, because I know that,
ASAP, yeah.
yeah, because we have to get registered and hotels booked before it's too late, so.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, if I may, just kind of put a bug in your ear now. We'd like to encourage you to attend the PLC boot camp in June. We've spent so much time with high reliability schools and the PLC work. We really think it would be beneficial as if some of the board members could go and see firsthand what that means and where we are in the process and as we're moving forward. It's a 3-day conference, the 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas, which, yeah. But I think it would be very beneficial to have 3 or 4 board members knowledgeable on what we're doing and why we're doing it as we move forward. Yep. We'll get you more permanent stuff. Yeah, I'll get you one. Yeah. And the only other thing I would encourage is, you're always welcome, but I'd encourage you to go to a delayed start Monday PD. And we do a district one roughly every month, I think. And the rest are up to the buildings, so you can go to either one. But that is going to be a decision that the board will have to make probably in April, and if we're going to continue that. You need to make that based on quality staff development, not what's convenient for people. So I'd encourage you to go to that any Monday. If you need to know where to go, when to go, just give me a call. You can give Joe and Doug a call, and we'll just go to any of the buildings and watch what they do. It's really pretty cool if you go to one of those grade level groups or department groups and see how they're working, because they are doing good stuff. Okay, that's just a couple bugs in your ear. Thank you.
I guess that's it. We don't need a motion to adjourn, do we?
Nope, just gavel.
Yeah, here.
Adjourn.